Okay, let me just first give a quick introduction or a quick overview of the agenda for today. So we'll first start with what the AI agents are. Quite the rave in the market. We really need to first identify or sort of draw a line between how they are different from traditional AI and traditional AI chatbots that were available in the market, and how they're standing out from those previously available solutions. We'll then talk about the deployment of AI agents. So really sort of look at how organizations first need to look at their organizational readiness and what sort of strategy, what sort of questions that they should really be answering before they actually get into a deployment of or an implementation of AI agents. Then we'll focus more on the landscape. Firstly, looking at what are the different AI agent use cases that are out there from a CX lens, the vendor landscape again, which comprises of a lot of different providers, tech providers, service providers, and a lot of different variety of them. And then also importantly, we'll also look at how do we measure the success of AI agents. Last but not the least, we'll also look at the implementation roadmap, how that looks like for organizations. What are the ways in which you can scale up and optimize AI agents within your CX customer journey? And finally, we'll leave the participants with key imperatives that will be necessary to tackle in order to really scale up your AI agents journey. And in the end, as always, we'll obviously leave some time for questions and answers. I'm sure there'll be a lot of them today, and hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of them. So without further ado, let me get directly started with understanding what really AI agents are and how do they differentiate from traditional AI, right? So think about the last time you called customer service. You probably wanted to get something done and not just to be informed, right? Maybe you wanted to update your address, maybe you wanted to cancel a subscription or get a refund. But often you ended up stuck in IVR loops. You ended up getting information, but not really getting your problem solved. And this slide really illustrates that shift, the old way of getting information done through traditional AI to actually doing information. So, you could have asked, what are your store hours? And you would probably get the store hours. But what if you actually wanted to know if something was in stock? You could have asked, how do I update my address? And you could again get instructions. But what if but you still have to go through the tedious process of updating it yourself. Similarly, if you wanted to cancel your subscription, you would probably get redirected to a live agent, which would require more waiting, right? And now look at the right side, which is labeled action. This is the future of customer service, which is powered by AI agents. These agents, they're not just giving information, they're actually taking action. So updating my address now becomes a real-time CRM update. Canceling my subscription results in a real-time cancellation and confirmation by doing an automation, workflow automation in the background. Needing a refund on your items can actually get happened by triggering a refund and updating the inventory system in real time. And so you could probably understand by now that AI agents are different from traditional AI systems. And what we've seen is they're enabled by 4 main advancements that have happened in the last 6 to 12 months, right? First one is in the advancements in LLMs itself, the foundational models. And especially I would like to focus on their reasoning capabilities, because that's what really enables AI agents to break down complex problems, right? Because when a customer calls in, that's probably not for a simple sort of a request. It's a complex problem that has a lot of smaller parts. And so you need to analyze each part and then synthesize a solution. And that really comes from advanced reasoning capabilities. If you look at all the latest foundational models, they come with advanced reasoning capabilities, which really powers AI agents to actually synthesize a solution and then get the agents to act on it. Second one, again, really important, is enterprise-wide integrations and an API-first architecture. And API-first approach is really important because this ensures that the integrations are scalable and modular. As and when new systems or services are added to the enterprise, they can be easily integrated into the existing architecture without any disruptions to the current operations. Thirdly, AI orchestration capabilities and multi-agent framework. Now, a contact center environment is a really complex environment. Think of an agent, he would probably be handling 4 to 5 different systems at the same point of time. And in order to do so, for an AI agent to do so, they would probably need to do the same thing, which is traversing across different systems of action, systems of record at the same point of time to get the actions done. And this is where the orchestration capabilities, not just across different systems, but also across different channels that the customers might reach you to, is really important. And last but not the least, of course, AI governance, right, is one of the most important things. One of the main hurdles as to why a lot of AI solutions in the past have struggled to really come to bear is the governance issue. And so having a robust AI governance ensures that compliance and ensures that industry specific regulations and legal requirements are met. So to sum up, enterprises, now have not just the opportunity, but the expectation to move beyond passive customer support. And AI agents are, they're not just smarter chatbots, or they're not just an improvement over traditional AI. They're action takers. They are here to transform CX by proactively solving customer issues, which with unprecedented efficiency and effectiveness, which hasn't been seen before. Right. So now let's move a bit from theory to reality, right? We've talked about the potential of the AI agents, but let's see how are they actually changing contact center process, right? This slide will break down the 4 main ways in which AI agents are automating processes and revolutionizing the CX, the customer experience. And think of a regular contact center today, right? What are the biggest pain points? What are your agents spending the most time on? Where are the customers getting frustrated? AI agents can actually solve all of those problems. So firstly, AI-powered customer engagement and self-service. Imagine a customer reaches out with a question that I want to book a particular flight, or I want to change my flight. These are the type of agents that actually interact with the customers and enhance and support across customer support, sales, and engagement across different industries. And the impact of this is that you have a direct enhancement on your customer engagement and a more personalized and a more seamless interaction with your customers. The second one is more on the process automation and efficiency side, right? This is about automating the repetitive, mundane tasks that really bog down your human agents and slow down your operations. So AI agents can handle all things like data entry, form filling, initial sort of troubleshooting. And again, the impact that you have here is your operational costs reduce, you have greater compliance with regulatory requirements, and your processing time also increases for customer queries. The third way is around agent workflows and assistance, right? So AI agents are not just for self-service. They can also supercharge your existing human agents. They can provide real-time information. They can suggest solutions. They can even handle some of the routine tasks during a particular call, empowering agents to be more effective and efficient. And the impact here is twofold. It not only just improves the agent efficiency and the morale, but it also helps shorten their training time for new agents by providing that sort of contextual guidance. So for example, during a call with a frustrated customer, an AI agent can actually support in real time, providing empathetic suggestions to the agent, and also look at historical data to give the right sort of messages to the agent to drive that conversation successfully. And last but not the least, this is where the AI gets really smart, right? The AI agents can also analyze customer data to identify potential problems even before they actually happen, allowing you to proactively address customer needs and prevent issues before escalation. And the impact is really transformative here. It prevents escalations and churn. It helps address the problems early on, provides hyper-personalized experiences, again, based on predictive insights, and also strengthens your brand trust. So together, I think these 4 pillars, they illustrate how AI agents are revolutionizing or have the power to actually revolutionize contact center operations, from self-service to agent support or to proactive engagement, right? And by implementing these capabilities together, enterprises can not only improve efficiency, but also deliver on exceptional customer experiences that drive loyalty and business growth. Right. I think in the next section we'll talk about deploying of these agents and talk mainly from a strategy and readiness perspective. So I'll hand it over to Sharang to take us over for the next couple of slides.
Thanks, Anubhav, and a great start to the conversation. So let's talk about AI agents and CX and what the strategy needs to be around that. But before that, I think one of the questions that I often hear about AI agents is how is it really different from the chatbots of the erstwhile era, right? I mean, whatever we've described, potentially to some extent could have been done through chatbots earlier as well. So I think fundamentally, if you look at the two technologies and the capabilities and the things that they can do, you realize that it's not very different. What AI agents can really do is what chatbots could already do, but in a much more smarter way. The kind of reach that AI agents have, working with some of the technologies, like Anubhav said, on the background, doing a lot more complex tasks, I think that is enhanced. And the fact that, when I talk about chatbots and how, while you can do a lot of things that AI agents can do through chatbots, it's not easy to implement that. You have to design a lot of workflows around that, which becomes very complex. So with sort of AI agent, it just becomes a lot more simpler to get some of these more complex things done. And it makes easier for enterprises to realize those kind of advanced benefits that Gen AI has promised to achieve, especially in contact center. So with that, let's get started on the strategy around deploying agents in contact center environment. Now, I think while everyone's really excited about what AI agents can do, and I think that's definitely imperative to deploy these technologies in contact center environments for most of the enterprises, I'd say it's not as easy as a flip of a button, right? There's some careful planning and assessment that is required beforehand that every enterprise must carefully go through before they're ready to deploy AI agents. And that's critical because at the end of the day, what you want to do is have a positive return of investment, make sure that you're creating a positive impact in terms of customer experience. And to that, there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. So the first one is the whole features and capabilities, right? I think rather than just having a agenda to deploy AI agents, first you need to be asking yourself, what am I trying to really solve through it? What are the business challenges that I'm currently facing in my contact center? Is it probably the fact that, a lot of my calls have a huge average handle time, or my first call resolution is poor, or a lot of calls simply go unanswered, right? So trying to understand and identify what those biggest problems are that are impacting my operations, and understanding how I can use AI agents to solve for that. I think that's the first crucial step. You don't have to go with an all-out strategy where you'll be deploying AI agents for everything, because trust me, that will get expensive real fast. But rather take a step-by-step approach and identify what the low-hanging fruits are. Then I think it's also important to understand what kind of knowledge sources can the AI agent leverage, because at the end of the day, an AI agent is only as good as the information or the database behind it. And within a contact center, we see that there are multiple systems of information, the CRM, even at times ERPs and other systems, social media. You need to understand where can an AI agent integrate with, and is it possible to actually combine information from multiple silos and make a coherent story out of that? Because if you can do that, I think the impact that an AI agent, or for that matter, an AI can create, is going to be manifold compared to, let's say, if it was just working on a particular system and trying to solve within that ecosystem itself. So what you're essentially doing is you're looking at that end-to-end journey by integrating different data sources and actually making sense out of it. And the good thing is that with AI agent, it becomes possible to actually make sense of that out of that story. It was simply very challenging in the past. So now what you can do is bring information from different sources and get that kind of picture on what the customer wants or what his preferences are and what needs to be done. Also identifying how can it, or how easily or how complex is it to integrate it with your existing tech stack, what are the kind of challenges you're going to face, and how to overcome them, that becomes crucial. Which sort of also segues into the next key consideration, which is cost. And cost is definitely an important factor. I'm sure it is one of the most important factors as enterprises are evaluating, using these solutions. So, like I said, you don't have to plaster AI agents on every problem that comes into your contact center, right? Some of the inquiries are fairly simple to do. Something like an FAQ bot can do. So you don't necessarily have to deploy an AI agent for that. Conversely, on the other side, a very, very high complexity problem that probably requires a lot of processing, a lot of working between different systems can also be something that's probably not ripe for an AI agent at the moment. So identifying that sweet spot where the accuracy is high, the return on the capital deployed makes sense, and from a cost perspective, it is actually beneficial. That becomes another key imperative to do before you actually deploy AI agents. And then also understanding, how do you want to deploy these agents? So let's say if you're working in a multi-region kind of operation environment, what kind of languages can an AI agent take over? What are the kind of time zones that it should be supporting? Uh, Also, what does that cost look like? Is it sort of a capex intensive fee with the limited opex, or does it require an ongoing investment in improving the product? Inference, all of that. I think those are key important discussions. What are the kind of models that you want to go with that you're talking about AI agents? Is it an open source LLM, or is it something that's proprietary either from OpenAI or some of the others? And analyzing, what that kind of cost to accuracy benefit is becomes crucial. The other important aspect is the whole data privacy and security, right? So prior to deploying any AI agent, understanding how the technology will work with the customer data, how will it be used, how you're storing that, is it in regulations and compliance within the industry or the region where it is being operated? Uh, is the information going back to the LLM provider? If yes, is that okay? If not, how can we limit that? Uh, are you using that customer data to train and improve the AI models? If so, are you removing things like personal identifiable information? How are you even hosting that data? So for example, a lot of countries, especially in the European region, require that kind of local storage of data. So how do you plan for that? Do you have servers in those locations? Have you thought of that before? I think all of these, and are you, like I said, compliant with the regulations? That is a homework that needs to be done before, and not something that you need to firefight after you've actually deployed the agent. And then the last thing is the customization. Now, with this technology, the good thing is there's a lot of customization that's available right now. You can tweak things like the voice, the tone, the kind of style in which the AI agent communicates. So making it consistent with your brand voice, I think that's something that you can customize. How does the AI agent account for things like multilingual support? So, for example, a lot of regions like US has a lot of people speaking English and Spanish. Other regions like India, for example, we use a lot of English and Hindi together. So, can the AI agent identify those multilingual nuances, cultural nuances that are particular to a region, and provide appropriate responses? So, I think tweaking your solution to account for that is going to be crucial as well, because at the end of the day, that impacts your customer experience, and you want to give your customers the best kind of experience for the problem at hand. And then, similarly, can the AI agent identify things like customer sentiment, mood, and act appropriately, right? So, for example, if a customer is angry, you don't want to be having an AI agent that's throwing around jokes and being very casual. On the other hand, you don't want the agent to be always serious. Also, kind of relates to the brand that is using. So, for example, whether something like a Twitch, the AI agent will have a very different kind of response compared to, let's say, if you're talking to someone on the Netflix or a Disney Plus side. So taking these things into consideration and doing careful planning around it, right? So usually takes anywhere between a couple of weeks to even a few months to plan all of this, identifying the right solution, uh, creating that kind of roadmap, identifying what could be potential roadblocks that you'd probably face and how do you overcome that. Doing that homework beforehand just helps. Moving on. So the other thing that enterprises need to do is make sure that whatever AI agents they're bringing into the contact center, they're not disruptive, right? They work within the existing workflows, right? Whatever technology you're using, these solutions can integrate into these technologies without creating that kind of upheaval. Working within existing workflows that have been designed in contact centers around escalations, agent handoffs, those kind of things, that becomes crucial, right? Like I was saying before, you need to have that kind of consistent brand voice when you're using AI to solve for customer queries. Make sure that your AI agent resonates not just the voice, but even the ethics, the brand value, and has that kind of consistent messaging across different languages, different regions, and different channels even, right? You don't want a very funky voice bot compared to something that's very different on a chat or a social media. Compliance and security, like we already said, AI agents should have access to only what is necessary. You don't want to give them enterprise-wide access to all the information. So making sure that they're acting within that kind of guardrails, within that kind of boundaries, having that kind of role-based access. So, for example, an AI agent that's being used for HR doesn't necessarily need to have access to other systems in the organization. And then finally, establishing those boundaries. Yes, there's a lot of possibilities, there's a lot of potential, and honestly, not all of that has been realized yet. We're seeing progress being done day by day. But even then, you still want to have that human in the loop element, right? There are some decisions that you want an agent or a human to make instead of an AI, especially in industries like, let's say, in insurance or banking or even healthcare for that matter, where the consequences of a wrong decision can create significant upheaval for the customer or even for the brand. You want to establish that boundaries in terms of when to escalate to a human agent and when probably take a call to solve a problem on its own.
All right. On point as always, Sharon. Thanks for that. I really echo the part around the brand voice. I think as as employees are sort of trained to learn the brand values, right? I think the AI agents are no different, and they should also be speaking the same language, having the same sort of ethics as well. Okay, so now we'll invite our next speaker over there to talk about the AI agent use cases that are out there. There are a lot of them in the market. The landscape, which is again a very interesting landscape, and how do you measure success? So over to you there.
Thanks, Anubhav, and thanks, Sharon, for actually laying the great foundation on how organizations can actually start thinking about readiness for AI agents. So I would take it from here and we would dive into some of the most interesting questions that are frequently being asked to us and that we have also received as part of the webinar. So moving on to the next slide. So one of the most important questions that we hear from enterprises is that what are some of the real high impact use cases of AI agents that are not just theoretical, but are actually being adopted, being scaled, and actually driving outcomes for enterprises. So when I talk about this, I typically structure these 8 use cases that you can see into 3 categories. First is the interaction and operational enablement. The second one is agent empowerment. And the third category being intelligence. So when we look at the first category, we have virtual concierge agents. So these agents are typically the first point of contact, handling simple inquiries such as appointment scheduling and even guiding users to the right resource. So think of these agents as your front desk agents for your operations, designed for frictionless entry into your support ecosystem. Then we have intelligent routing agents. And just let's be honest, routing solutions have been there in the industry for quite some time. But these new AI powered agents can now dynamically match customer intent to the best available resource that can either be a human or an agent based on real time insights such as sentiment, issue complexity, as well as customer profile. And finally, we have follow-up agents. These agents can make customer feel more accommodated, wherein it requires sending out updates, collecting feedback, and also tracking issues to the resolutions that you are asking for. And these agents actually help ensure two things for enterprises. First is continuity and reinforcing trust. That is typically the two pillars for customer experience for enterprises. Moving on to the center, we have a category that I refer to as agent empowerment with agent co-pilot use cases. And this is arguably the most transformative and being widely adopted use case that we are seeing in the industry. So these agent co-pilots actually operate in real time, assisting human agents with next best action, helping agents correct their verbiage and grammar for the responses that they are drafting, and also doing case summarization and helping surface customer information that is dynamically improved and also ensures efficiency and consistency for enterprises as well as the agent supporting that inquiry. Moving on to the right hand side, in this category, I typically term it as intelligence that might not relate to all. But here we have sentiment analysis agents. And these agents actually read between the lines, analyzing tone, pace, and word of choice to actually interpret the sentiment and even flag interactions in real time that may be going south. Then we have knowledge management agents, and these agents typically help surface relevant knowledge instantly for agents directly to customer and even for agents where AI is actually supercharging this use case is in terms of automated knowledge capture, organizing that information, and also tagging information and suggesting knowledge based updates that can really help enterprises efficiently manage their knowledge management operations. Then we have predictive AI agents. And as enterprises are shifting more towards from reactive to more proactive customer engagement, these agents hold the key. They anticipate customer needs, identify churn risk, and even trigger preemptive outreach based on customer behavior patterns. Last but not least, we have fraud detection agents. And these agents continuously monitor transactions and interactions to identify suspicious activity to reduce fraud while maintaining smooth experience for legitimate users. So together, these 8 agents represent the most mature and in-demand AI use cases that we are seeing in the CX ecosystem. So now, as we have unpacked this, the different AI agents emerging in the CX space, a natural follow-up question that we receive from clients is that across which processes are you seeing AI agents making the most tangible impact? And also, what are those processes across which you are seeing the most traction in the industry? This slide provides a snapshot of just that. It maps out the adoption potential of agentic AI across key verticals and highlights some of the most promising CX workflows where agents are making a tangible impact. When we look at the potential impact, one thing is clear that sectors with high transactional volumes, large customer base, and process heavy operations tend to have higher potential impact of agentic AI. Hence, unsurprisingly, BFSI is right at the top. The use cases are rich, ranging from KYC automation to claim processing and loan servicing. And the potential of agentic AI to drive compliance, speed, and personalization in BFSI is massive. Another front runner is telecom, and we are seeing strong deployments in billing, service activation, and improved self-service network troubleshooting. Areas where AI agents are reducing pressures on call centers for telecom enterprises. Then we have retail and travel and hospitality sector, where AI agents are empowering agents and enterprise CX ecosystem with recommendation, product and trip tracking, and cancellation. For healthcare, while adoption is still in its early stages due to regulatory and privacy considerations, we are seeing strong movement in areas such as telemedicine triage and claims assistance. Lastly, for education and energy, these are quite early in their adoption journey, but use cases are starting to crystallize. So, actually, to sum it up, I have two takeaways from this. So, each of the processes across industries, a set of AI agents that we just discussed on the previous slides, are working along with other CX technologies to make these things possible. Hence, orchestration holds the key to success. And the other takeaway that I have is that agentic AI is not one size fit all play. The adoption curve varies by industry based on customer needs, process maturity, regulatory compliance, interaction volume, and the kind of revenue or cost impact that an enterprise can actually realize with agentic AI implementation. So this brings us to the next question. Who is building and productizing these AI agent capabilities? And as you can see, it's a diverse landscape ranging from hyperscalers, specialist pure play providers, to enterprise platform vendors and conversational AI and automation providers, all actually vying for the AI driven CX stack. But I have some key takeaways from the competitive landscape that we have on the screen. So first is hyperscalers. These players are laying foundational infrastructure and development tools for agentic AI. That includes LLM orchestration, compute power, and agent toolchains, for which enterprises can build on based on their needs. Then we have large enterprise platform providers, and these providers are already present in enterprise operations in some shape and form. But these providers are actually reimagining their core offerings around agentic AI principles. So they are now focusing on agent assist, automation of back office CX processes with autonomous decision making and orchestration across enterprise operations. When we look at the other two categories, one of which is pure play providers, this is one of the most dynamic category out of all. These vendors are more laser focused on building AI agent first architecture from grounds up and are innovating rapidly around autonomous workflows and plug and play integrations with CX platforms. Many of these players are being adopted by digitally native brands and early adopters looking for speed and agility in their AI agent journey. Then we have automation and conversational AI providers who are actually repositioning their bots for more intelligent, autonomous agents that are capable of handling interactions end to end. And these providers tend to provide a strong pre-built library specific for industry and process specific use cases. And finally, we have the CXM providers that are forging partnerships or having joint GTM with these AI agent technology providers that are either bundling, building, and delivering AI agents as part of their end-to-end managed service offerings. So as we look ahead, this is shaping up to be a highly competitive segment with multi-stakeholder market, with multi-technology vendors, platform providers, and CXM service providers, all playing critical but distinct roles. For enterprise buyers, the key will be in identifying the right blend of technology, service expertise, and also looking at things around their readiness and serve their transformation goals. And now I think we have our poll in. We would love to get your perspective, how you are thinking of deploying your AI agents, or perhaps you have already explored it. So which type of vendors would you most likely engage with?
Yeah, and as we get the responses, let's just give everyone 30 seconds, 40 seconds to put in their responses. But I think one observation, I don't think there's a right answer to this, right? Depends on what your needs are, what your priorities are, whether you're invested in an ecosystem already, or you have kind of engagement with someone within the list. I think that kind of question may depend on a lot of factors, and that will vary for individual enterprises. But still, we'd love to hear what that kind of response is, and what's, if we have a clear winner, or people have sort of mixed reactions. I think we are 45% into the of all the people who've joined. We've got almost 50% of the responses, and I believe the responses are available to see for everyone. But I think there's no clear majority, like I said, probably a mix of tech and service providers, given that there's already a lot of relationships. I think one-fourth of the people indicated that'd be their preferred choice. What we also see is that a lot of people choosing to go with either conversational AI or automation providers, like who they described, enterprise platform providers, and then we also have good amount of people who want to work with hyperscalers directly or pure play providers to meet some of these AI agent needs.
And thanks, Sharang. And one interesting takeaway that I'm seeing from the poll is that there is a strong interest in a mix of tech and service providers that actually tell us about that buyers are looking for more holistic solutions that combine both technology, implementation, and services expertise.
Yep.
Oh, okay, there's one more slide. Yep.
Okay. So let's say you have made the decision and actually chosen your partner, and you have actually started deploying AI agents in your contact center. So the next big question becomes, how do we measure success? And this is where we see the gap. Too often, enterprises focus only on one dimension, either it is cost saving or customer experience upliftment. But in reality, a successful AI agent deployment should deliver value across three critical vectors. First would be customer experience, operational efficiency, and financial impact. So, talking about each one of them, the first and most obvious one being customer experience. So, here AI agents are expected to reduce response time, improve customer sentiment detection accuracy, and enhance overall customer effort scores in tandem with customer satisfaction and net promoter scores, specifically for simpler and transactional queries. Next, we move on to the operational layer. This is where you assess how efficient your AI agents are functioning. Key KPIs include AI containment, that would include how many interactions are being handled fully by your AI agent ecosystem. Then we have AI agent productivity improvement metrics and model metrics such as latency, fallbacks, and retraining needs. And finally, there is the business case. AI agents need to drive a tangible cost per contact reduction, enable higher cross sell and upsell conversions, and ultimately contribute to AI driven cost savings at scale for your CX operations. So, one thing is pretty clear that measuring success across all these areas is crucial. And because if, let's say, you are optimizing just for cost, then there might be missing degradations in CX or in operational complexity behind the scenes. So, in our experience, most mature enterprises only track these KPIs and they bake them into their agent design, governance, and scaling strategies from day one. Okay,
Thanks a
thanks.
lot, Uday. Yep, thanks a lot. I think you really, nailed your section. I really love the synthesis on the entire vendor landscape. Um, I am cognizant of the fact that we don't have a lot of time left for the remaining section, but I'll try my best to squeeze in and give the best value for the remaining 3 slides that we have. All right, so we'll start first with the implementation roadmap straight away. Um, by now, you would have understood that implementing AI agents is not that simple, right? It does involve a lot of steps. And so in this slide, I'll kind of quickly try to walk you through what are those main steps. The first thing, as kind of Sharang alluded earlier, right, is to really look at what are the low-hanging fruits, and understand which are the real high impact areas where AI agents can actually make a difference. And it's not just about automating things, but it's about doing smartly. It's about smart automation, right? We need to balance efficiency of AI along with human touch, uh, and ensure that both of them can actually work together. And before we begin, we actually need a map. We need to know what does the success look like, what metrics will tell us if we're on the right track or not. And so defining these KPIs and success metrics is crucial for us before we are on track to delivering value. The next one, data, of course, is the fuel that powers the AI agents, right? Think of it as gathering the ingredients that are necessary for a perfect recipe. So we also need to select the right tools for the job, right? Which AI model, as again, Sharang was mentioning, which AI model fits your needs perfectly? What deployment strategy will ensure seamless integration with your existing infrastructure? This is like choosing the right building materials and the right sort of architecture design for your AI-powered customer service hub. The third one is integration with contact center systems. It's sort of time to connect those pieces together. Think of the AI agent as a new member of your customer service team. And so just like a human agent, it will also need to be able to communicate and collaborate with other systems and other team members. So this means integrating with CRMs, CCaaS, ERP, telephony, IVR systems, you name it, right? It's about building those bridges between these different departments and technologies to create that unified customer experience. Then you go to the testing and training phase. This is where before you actually unleash your AI agents onto a production environment, it needs to be put through its phases, right? And so typically what helps is to run at least a limited pilot deployment to test the AI agents' accuracy and effectiveness in a controlled environment. This helps in identifying any glitches or any areas of improvements before you scale it up. And it also helps in establishing what helps is in establishing a governance and feedback loop to continuously monitor the performance and fine-tune the agent's response, which could also involve collecting feedback from agents and customers alike. And finally is the full-scale deployment and optimization phase. This is where you've done your pilots and your pilots have been successful. Now it's time to really roll out the AI agent across all different across all different support channels, and so on. Now, here what's important is, to regularly maintain or regularly retrain the AI model and fine tune it to ensure that the accuracy and the relevance of the agents remain over time. And this is an ongoing process of learning and adaptation. I think there is time for another poll. Yes. So this question is really around, we talked about the implementation and the steps. So we really want to know, where are you right now with your AI agents journey? Have you already started, AI agents in production, or is it something in the future? And how far in the future? I think this will be really interesting to know where really the market is right now with AI agents. And again, I do expect a wide variety of responses here, and the responses are not surprising to me that I see a wide range of answers from
Yeah, I
people
think
who are still not sure to
I think
people.
the fact that
Yeah, go
we've
ahead.
been on the whole AI journey for the last 24 months, and while AI agents as a concept would be new, I think
Yeah,
most of the enterprises have been in that preparation mode at least for a good part of 2024. So I think that should help in taking this to actual implementation or running some of the pilots. Like we said, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but
yeah,
from what the poll is also indicating, looks like enterprises have already been doing that for a good part of last 12, 18 months. And I think we can share the results now, right? Yep.
yep. So almost 50% of them are already piloting or are going to be doing it in the next 6 months. So it's all here and now, right? When it comes to AI agents. And great. I mean, that's great validation to what we already believed to be happening anyway in the market. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
biggest takeaway for me is, there's just very bare minimum percentage of people saying that that is not in our plans, which just shows that I think there's a wide acceptance of the technology, and if people are not already leveraging, there's definitely plans to do it in the future.
Absolutely. All right. Now let's move on to how do you really scale this up? Let's say once you have implemented this, it's not just a one-time action, right? You really need to scale this up. I look at three main levers which are really important to consider when it comes to scaling. First is the data layer, which is really the foundation, because because contact centers really depend on both structured and unstructured data. Structured data are things like customer profiles, CRM records, and so on. But then there's unstructured data as well, which are your call transcripts, your surveys, your emails, which are then transcribed or analyzed. So it's necessary to have a robust data pipeline to ingest, to process, and to feed this data to the AI models, which, as the previous speakers were talking about, is really going to be the foundation for the AI model to work in an optimum level. The second layer, or the second lever, is the engine, which is the infrastructure. A fundamental decision to be made with AI agents is where will the workloads run? Is it going to be a cloud deployment, or is it going to be on premises? Now, again, this depends on what kind of control, what kind of data locality is important for you, and that's a decision that enterprises generally we see tend to go with cloud platforms because of the ability to have on-demand GPU resources and resources for model training and so on. Then, as I also mentioned, integration with enterprise systems, various different systems will be important to provide that contextualness to the responses. And the other part is also, when you scale it up, you also need to be ensuring that the underlying compute, storage, and network infrastructure can be met in order to really support the AI workloads as you scale up your AI agents effectively. And the third layer is the governance, which is, I look at it as the compass, right? Because deploying AI agents at scale will require that continuous monitoring of model performance, as well as AI explainability, to really ensure that these agents are making the right sort of decisions and ensure that there's no potential biases that are creeping into it. Regulatory compliance, I don't really have to talk about GDPR and other sort of regulations, which really make a huge impact on how these solutions are going to be used. And for finally, even things like documents and audit trails, right? Maintaining the records of your model, the data origin, and how the model was validated. All of these are going to be really important to ensure that the AI agents are deployed in a correct manner. So, my takeaway is, that it's scaling AI agents as well is a complex undertaking, but by focusing on data, infrastructure, and governance, we can really unlock their full potential in a contact center environment. All right, I'll just quickly run through the last slide here. So, business leaders should start preparing for contact centers sooner rather than later, right? This isn't just a headline, right? It's a critical warning. And we've kind of broken down this preparation into 5 different layers. The first layer is the strategy layer. Again, you need to prioritize which areas, especially within your CX, will benefit, right? And you need to have that balance between control and flexibility. How much autonomy will you give your AI agents versus how much will you maintain oversight? Next up is talent, because we believe that AI agents are not going to replace humans entirely, right? They're going to change the roles of humans. So that requires redesigning job architectures, redesigning workflows and performance metrics, and establishing the right kind of collaboration mechanisms between AI agents and humans. Thirdly, the process layer, I think this is again important because we need to codify business processes in order to really enable AI agents. We need to closely monitor the AI agent performance to ensure effectiveness. The technology data layer cannot be understated. As I've kind of mentioned, this is the engine that drives your AI agents, right? So you need to have the right sort of orchestration platforms and data lakes. This will ensure that your AI agents have the right data and resources to function effectively. And finally, the risk element as well. I think, right now where the market is, we need to very strongly implement human in the loop control mechanisms, right? As AI agents start interacting with the real world, control mechanisms are going to be extremely essential to balance that autonomy and risk. And humans must validate the outputs for the accuracy and the compliance as organizations start scaling up with AI agents, at least at an initial phase. So my takeaway here is, waiting is not an option right now. And you saw the poll results, right? There are a lot of organizations that have already started taking the lead. Most of them are also sort of waiting in the touchlines to get started with it. So the change is happening now. We believe that 1/4 of all contact center interactions will be involving AI agents by the mid of 2026, which is just about a year from now, right? And so by addressing these 5 imperatives, you can actually position your organization to successfully leverage AI agents and deliver exceptional CX. All right, that takes us to the Q&A. Are there any questions that we can address straight away?
Yeah, I think there are a few, although I've tried answering as many as I could on chat, but I think there are a few open ones. Let me take this first one, which is from W. Goldsmith, which says, can AI agent sentiment be set in advance, taking calls during catastrophic events where the caller will be known to be stressed? Definitely, I think that's the beauty of it. You can customize it, and you can customize it on the go. And the good thing is you don't even have to do it in a lot of cases manually. You can trigger the AI agent to respond in a certain way, depending on, if XYZ criteria are met, and you can add more empathy, you can add more urgency, or even change the tone. So depending on what the situation is, like, let's say if there's a natural calamity, let's say, something like a hurricane or an earthquake in a region, you can design the AI agent to be more empathetic in such scenarios, ask for the well-being, offer any kind of immediate assistance. So that's definitely possible, and it's possible to even automate such scenarios well in advance.
Yep. I've got a question here from Mike McKinney, which caught my attention, and I wanted to answer that. The question is, do AI agents apply agentic technology in that they apply judgment, right? So he's asking whether they apply judgment. So it's really important to understand here that, while AI agents, we talk about, reasoning, and we talk about autonomy, they still have to be within a certain business context and have to follow certain business rules, right? So you cannot have an AI agent that goes rogue and, just ends up doing things which can potentially harm your company. So while they do have autonomy, yes, they do have autonomy, but then they are still, and that's why I talked about the codification of business processes. That's really important to set the sort of guidelines, set the sort of guardrails rather, within which the AI agent will work. So it will have autonomy, but that autonomy will still be sort of controlled and monitored by human beings that will set the sort of the rules for the agents.
I think one another interesting question by Sankara, which says, compared to intelligent automation combined with APIs, workflows, etc., how expensive would an agentic AI solution be? Where would you find the business case or incremental value? So I think while that's a little tricky to answer in absolute numbers, so I won't be doing that, because what we're also seeing is that the cost changes every week or 2 weeks, depending on how the competition is evolving and other scenarios. But generally speaking, agentic AI is going to be more expensive upfront than your traditional intelligent automation. And that's because of a couple of reasons, like, advanced models that are needed, more sophisticated orchestration layer, and even the contextual learning that you have to train the model on. The good thing is that although it is more expensive, it also offers higher incremental value, where typically automation solutions struggle. So things like handling unstructured outputs, adapting to changing scenarios, or managing even multi-step kind of decisions that don't necessarily have a predefined rule. So that's where an agentic AI will shine, even though it might be more expensive. And you will see the benefits of that in improved customer loyalty, better benefit, and improved resolution rates as well.
Yep. I would also like to answer another question, a very interesting question and very pertinent, from Nakul. He says, you showed 8 types of agents. Does this means there can be interlink between each other and seamless handoffs with each other, and also one AI agent driving another AI agent? The answer is absolutely yes, Nakul. So, when I talked about the orchestration, that is really the essence of agents. of AI agents. And then that's how it actually differs from chatbots and the previous AI solutions, because they were more isolated in nature. And that's why they were limited in terms of their ability to do stuff. Whereas now you have the power of orchestration, where you can actually do a much more complex workflow, which requires a lot of different tasks, which requires a lot of different agents, which are each specialized in their own roles, which are each specialized to do a particular task, working in tandem, and as you were mentioning, right, seamlessly handing off from their particular actions to the next one to do those tasks. So yes, we also see a lot of agentic architectures coming up, which have a planning agent or a supervisor agent, you can call it a master agent, which essentially the role of that agent is to actually understand that particular complex workflow, design a path where it can choose the different agents that it has in its disposal, the best ones that are there, that are suited to actually solve that particular workflow, by picking the agents and orchestrating that particular journey along the way. We have another question. Uday, maybe I'd like to invite you to answer this. Is fraud agent the same as an anomaly detection agent? This question is from Om. Would you like to just clarify for Om?
Yes. So I would cover this quickly. We have a couple of more slides to cover, and so they are related but not exactly the same. So anomaly detection is more of a core capability that many fraud agents use, but fraud agents can actually go further. So fraud agents are actually purpose built to actually identify and respond to specific threats like identity threat, payment fraud, and let's say account takeover as well. So these fraud detection agents use anomaly detection models, but also apply a layer of rules, risk scores, and also historical fraud patterns, and even apply decision logic to actually make those actions in place.
All right. Thanks a lot, Uday. And I know there were a few questions that we couldn't answer, but this is why we are offering something for some of those people who've not been able to get their questions answered. What we're really offering is a CTA, and there's a link below in the chat box where you can reach out to us, and we'd be happy to do a complimentary readout on some of these topics, like the current market trends in agentic AI, the use case prioritization, what are the different enablers for enterprises, and obviously a deeper dive on some of the vendors to look out for in agentic AI. And I also wanted to quickly just talk about our Engage event, which is happening. This is something that we did last year in Dallas. And on top of that, we are doing another one in London, which is in a week's time. So if you're in and around London, we'd be happy to have you. Again, the link is in the description for yourself to register. So this is again going to be an interesting event. And we'd love to have you around in case if you're in and around London. All right, I think that sort of is just on top of the hour, and we just love this entire interaction, and thanks to everyone who joined in, and hopefully this was something that you liked, and we'd love to speak to you. So feel free to send us a CTA, and we'd be speaking with you soon again.